go.
Hi, folks. This is Mark Smith, and I'm here with Vernon Billups. And we are going to be talking about the topic why extraordinary therapy costs so much money. So, the inspiration, I thought I'd dress up since we're talking about why things cost money. Pay for my $10 jacket that I got at Goodwill. So, Vernon, what inspired you to share this video with the people?
Yeah. So kind of as we were talking earlier, I come in contact with a lot of obviously clients, but a lot of potential clients as well. And, one thing that I try to do early on is explain the therapeutic process, specifically how we operate here at Family Tree. And then obviously finances is a big thing for many people, myself included. And, I was having that conversation and, it really inspired me because there was a bit of a disconnect there. When we have individuals who are seeking therapy, and maybe the first time that they're seeking therapy, and they get hit with that initial out-of-pocket fee, and this potential client kind of caught her off guard. And at that moment, I thought it was very important information to maybe discuss, because someone like me, I find that therapy is very beneficial and should be accessible to everyone. But as being someone that does it, I do understand, why it can seem expensive. But I think there's very valid reasons why. I don't think that therapists, there are some, but for most of us, I don't think we're sitting out here going, hey, let's see how much money we can really get people to pay to sit down and talk to us. I know that's not how we do it at Family Tree,
Mm-mm.
So.
Mm-mm. So, I've got 10 points that I wanted to share, and the plan is to have you jump in. You've got some points as well, but they sort of coincide with mine. So, if I'm blathering on, you can like do the hand raising thing. Or just tell me to shut up, one or the other. Or just jump in.
I cut you off respectfully.
Absolutely. So, the first thing that came to mind to me is the vast majority of the people that we see is relationship counseling and marriage counseling. And through our work, if we're able to salvage and rebuild a marriage into something that's healthy and workable and wonderful, that's priceless. That altered history, that kept your net worth from being cut in half, that gave you time with your children that wasn't cut in half. You can't put a price tag on that. If a therapist intervenes and can help you get to that place, I mean, you can't put a price on that. I was in the YMCA playing ball one day, and I saw a list on the wall, and it listed 10 ways to be successful, and number one was marry well. Well, nobody marries well. Everybody picks their issues, but if you're able to get to a healthy, stable, solid, fulfilling place in your relationship, everything else just falls into place. It's so vital and so important. And so the title of our video is why extraordinary therapy costs so much. And you can get non-extraordinary therapy if you want to. We're not saying that all insurance copay therapists are non-extraordinary. Some of them are extraordinary. If you can find a $30 copay extraordinary therapist that will salvage your marriage and rebuild it and turn it into something, priceless, go for it. But a lot of those folks, the reason they're on those insurance panels is they're not getting the word of mouth buzz uh, that like Family Tree gets. They're not getting the client flow, and there's a lot of really average to below average therapists out there, and you can't risk that. If you're in that situation when your marriage is on the line, you really want somebody that can help you a lot. So should I keep going? You got something?
Oh, no, no, I agree with that. I think that's something, I think a lot of times we are met with individuals who are in crisis, right? And they need, that immediate um, uh, validation or whatever's going on. Um, but I do think it's important that, kind of to your point, the things that we're here to assist in are priceless, right? And the things that you don't think about in the moment. In a crisis, you're not really thinking about, um, you know, uh, things being split in half, not being able to see your kids as much as you want because your mind is in a whirlwind. And I understand that. But those are the things that the clients that do stick through therapy and that have been meeting consistently for a year, 2 years, 3 years, those are the ones that can really speak to and attest to what we're talking about. That it's a process, but that process is priceless because once you stick it out and you realize everything that you could have lost and it's still here, you know, um, I think it's important. So
Yeah.
I like that. I like that point that you brought up.
Some of us are slow learners. It took me 16 years to learn how to build a healthy relationship, but finally got there. So some people are wounded early in their infancy, and that's a little rougher of a fix. So, second point I wanted to make is Stephen Covey said, um, if you want to help somebody quickly change their paradigm, change how they view the world. If you're in Indianapolis and your phone's GPS system is set to Chicago, you're going to be lost a lot. So people come in. I use the analogy of a jigsaw puzzle. They have, I tell them, your combined life, your marriage is like a 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. Well, even though you're 46, from where I'm sitting, you've only got it 40% put together. And then I show them uh, their genogram that I've already started filling out. And I said, when I'm done with this, I'll have it 85% put together. And I'll blow your mind with all the extra insight that you're going to get that you didn't have before. So adding truth about you and who you are and where you came from is extremely helpful and extremely valuable. And that doesn't take the 2-3 years. We can help a great deal right out of the chute, just getting people thinking right.
Yeah, yeah. When you talk about that, Mark, it uh, makes me think about how in society typically we will spend large sums of money for things, right? The nicest car, like, hey, I want the nicest car with the most update technology. If your GPS sort of thing. Now the cars kind of have them built in, but I'm thinking years ago, with the Garmin's and things like that. Hey, I want the top notch. I want it, the most up to date. Jewelry. I want the newest watch. These things, and these are pricey things, but there sometimes seems to be a disconnect when it comes to our mental health, right? And not wanting to, put forth, not the same amount of money, but something that one would call expensive, right? We're hesitant to do that when it comes to our mental health, and I think that's a whole nother conversation. Could require a whole nother video. But just putting into perspective that way, that there are things we're willing to spend large sums of money on, but
Sure.
mental health just hasn't made it around that bend yet where,
Yeah.
you know, it's fully endorsed. But
Yeah. The third thing I wanted to say is genuine, powerful, effective healers are rare. And to become that type of healer, you have to pay a heavy price personally to learn everything that you have to learn. I'm going to read y'all a writing that I did um, a couple weeks ago um, about healers, about what it takes to become an effective healer. I call it muses of the damned. I'm not saying y'all are damned because you come to therapy. That ain't. I'm just using that as a metaphor of really good therapy is art. It's not science. It's art, and we are muses, and we create an environment where we can creatively bring forth a deep amount of healing and with people who are struggling. And it feels like you damned at that time. It feels like you're going through hell, you know? So, Muses of the Damned. And I wrote this to young healers. And I said, our charges almost always seek out our wisdom in a frantic effort to completely leave broken lives behind them. They want healing magic and they want it right now. And they imagine that we possess godlike powers for which they pay such a princely sum. Had a guy once come in and his insurance, I took insurance 25, 30 years ago, and he suggested that his insurance company was paying me a princely sum. It was not a princely sum. It was a pauper sum, actually. Um, our dilemma, young healers, is that we ourselves are mere broken humans ourselves, lacking the ability to summon healing magic on demand. There is not a God among us, not even close. Do not be seduced by the pleas of anxious, broken-hearted people to try to do what you cannot do or be who you cannot be. We are not gods, we're trailblazers. We don't seek to leave our old lives behind us, but rather we bask in profound messages that come from our pain, from our woundings, from our failures, from our addictions, from our marital problems, from our brokenness, as those messages try to whisper to us. And if whispering doesn't work, then they try to speak to us. And sometimes they shout at us to try to tell us. And that's where a therapist comes in. We can interpret. Only healing wounded healers are able to become muses of the damned. Being shattered myself into a million bloody pieces almost killed me. Setting up familiar dynamics where I get betrayed repeatedly, wickedly, savagely, almost destroyed every facet of my life. And yet, there is only one healing path we have to offer to the precious souls who place their trust in us, and that is face off with your pain. It ain't easy. It is not for the faint of heart. Genuine healers have felt the lash ripping flesh off their backs. They've been stabbed in the heart, burned at the stake, thrown in the trash, and left behind for dead. Do you know, young healers, what it will cost you to become a genuine healer? Who would even want to pay such a price? Because you got to go through a lot of pain to lead other people down a path and a journey of healing their pain. I do receive visitations of magical healing powers from time to time. My brokenness is a conduit that summons the fluttering of angels' wings that surprise my precious ones with waves of healing energy. We aren't sources of the healing, but we are honored to have a front row seat to witness sacred transformations. We heal not to become more powerful healers. We heal because we must, because we love ourselves, because it's our religion, because we just can't stop healing even if we tried. You know, it's an energy in us that has momentum. But what an honor it is to evolve from a shattered vessel into a repaired powerhouse of spiritual healing. Don't leave your old life behind. You came from your people. That's what we try to get people to see is your issues are about where you came from. You came from your people. You are who you are. You did what you did. Embrace the nature of your being and cry every tear that is available. And have the courage to know dark truths about yourselves. Your work, young healers, will turn bitterness into generous forgiveness, reactivity into ears to truly hear, projections into epiphany, sadness into joy, cut off into partnership, hopelessness into exuberance. And you, my friend, will be used to funnel healing power into multitudes of fortunate lives. It really is a joy to experience healing partnership. To rise from ashes is a miracle. Uh, the healing that I've experienced in my life is worth every bit of pain that I paid for it. I get to dance with joy almost every day. And I have the honor of blazing a trail for many others where we're building our very same lives, but with something that is solid and stable and authentic and fresh and vulnerable. And that's a really special honor. So I just wanted to say, with all of that, uh, genuine healers who really can help you have been through a lot. They faced off with a lot. And they don't teach that in graduate school. You learn that on your knees crying at night all by yourself or on a therapist's couch yourself. And if you have somebody who's been through that, then they're a powerhouse and they can make a big difference in your life. And again, it goes back to being that kind of thing is priceless.
Yeah, I don't know if I can compete with that. I think that was pretty much well said. One of the things I actually had on my list, which is an obvious one, is to become a therapist. Obviously, with any profession, you go to school for quite some time. Um, but I don't think that's where our competency rests on. It doesn't rest on that sole, just I have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. What you're speaking to, I think, is something else that's invaluable. And it's not the education, it's the experiences, the pain that we've went through, right? I think is something that's invaluable. And that's something that when you are a healer, you're able to embrace the pain, but also interpret it, right? And move forward so that you can then continue to heal other people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I think is overlooked and not taken into account if we're just tying it back into the price of something, the price of the work that we do. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like you said, if we've made this joke a lot. I remember when I first met you. I value people who, excuse my language for everybody out there, but that's fucked up, right? And that's, I'll say that about myself. You know, I've been fucked up, and I'm going to continue to. But I think that makes for a great healer. Someone that can help guide this process. That's someone that you'd want to look to. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
A lot of times I'll have a couple in front of me and I'll say, "Hey, I've been through what you've been through," pointing to the husband, and I empathize with you. And hey, I've been through what you've been through. I've been through so many things and have done work on them that it's valuable to people. And I guess that's the point we're making here is that recovery depth and experience is like lightning in a bottle. It's very impactful. So, number four here is the work that you'll do saving your marriage uh, will remake you and it'll impact every area of your life. And then it will not only make your work life better, make you a better parent, uh, rebuild your marriage, but it'll also impact generations of people to come. So, what other investment can you make if you go out and buy a new car? It's not going to affect people from generations to come. So, what other investment can you make that'll do that? That's good stuff right there. Um, so, uh, uh, Vernon was saying that we don't charge people according to what we could get. I I was out in Denver this past week, and towards the end of the week and the beginning of this week, I've gotten 8 referrals in like 4 days. And if I wanted to, I don't need the clients. I could add an extra $50 to my fee, which would make it one of the highest fees in the city, but I didn't. In fact, I was working with one guy, and he had a sad, miserable. I had a hard time charging the guy anything. I lowered my fee. I was like, "You poor guy." I, I mean, we do this out of a sense of calling, and yeah, we have bills to pay, but ain't nobody getting rich down here. I'll tell you that much. I wish we were, but we're just trying to mainly help people and fulfill our callings.
Yeah. Excuse me. And that's something that, I really love, which is why I feel like I'm supposed to be here at Family Tree because we align on so many things, and that being one of them. There are so many people out there, therapists and non-therapists, even life coaches, right? That their sole purpose is to make as much money as they can on what they do. And similar to your scenario with that gentleman, that's something that I do too. And it's not always on a in the moment basis, but operating from a sliding scale fee because I do want people to have access. And I think it's important for people to know, hey, I do this for a living. So I do have to unfortunately make money, but my goal is not to be rich, right? My goal is to live while also doing what I love, and that's helping people heal, right? And I think Family Tree does a really good job at finding that balance of being able to live, but also provide great work.
Right, right. So, why don't we talk about fees? Vernon, what do you charge, and why do you charge that fee at this point in your career?
Yeah. So right now my hourly fee is $75 per hour session. And I think we might have had this conversation. I do that right now for well, I don't really know if it's two. My main reason is because I think that's a really sweet spot. Like I said in my earlier statement, I do this for a living, and I have to be able to provide for my family and make sure that everything that I have uh, on my plate is taken care of. But I think 75 is right in that range where it's I'm able to make a comfortable living. Like you said, no one's getting rich here, and that rings true because that is not the case here. But it's also slightly under what most people, if you go to a private practice, my fee is probably going to be doubled out the gate, sometimes a little more than double, just depending on where you're going and their experiences and their credentials and things like that. And I think that's, for me, is a perfect area where I can meet uh, clients from all demographics. right? Because everyone coming to therapy is not going to be in the same socioeconomic status. And that's okay. And like I said, I really, value therapy being accessible to everyone. And I want to make sure I can do anything and everything that I can to make sure that people get quality work. And when they come to Family Tree, you know, when I hop on the phone with them, that's something I tell them that you're not going to get from anywhere else. And I'm not saying there aren't any great therapists in the city of Indianapolis. I think there are a lot of great therapists. I know a lot of them, but I think, there's a reason that we have the reviews that we do on Google, and why when people call, they're calling because of that, those years of being consistent and providing great quality work, to the people here.
Mhm.
Um,
I'll share my fee in just a little bit here because it sort of fits with a point that I have coming down the road here. So, another point I want to make, at least for us, is our brand of family systems therapy, where we spend 3 sessions filling out a family tree or a genogram, and then we'll do an hour and a half or a 2 hour feedback session. Uh, it's world class. I've said this sounds arrogant, but I think it's true. If we could set up get 20 therapists from around the world that are good at family systems, and give me a genogram and give me some colored pens, like so, and give me 4 hours to do an assessment and to give feedback, I would smoke it. That's what I do. That's my gift, is being able to ask the right questions, to gather the information, to get it all, to get 4 generations on one piece of paper, and then to be able to interpret that and to make sense to people in terms of how that impacts their marriage. That's my main gift. And I teach the new associates who start here, so how to do that. So you really are getting a world class product at a reasonable fee.
Yeah, the gene. I love the genogram, obviously, and for those out there that have been in therapy before, um, specifically ones that use insurance, right? Insurance companies are really big on understanding why they're paying for your services, and with one of those things, is an intake, right? They want to see that intake, and in a typical intake, right? If you've been to like a community health center or something like that, they're asking all of these questions kind of just in uh, 1, 2, 3 form, right? Do you smoke?
It
Does
is
your
an actual form.
right? It's a form that assessment nonetheless, but it's going down the list, and they're asking just these questions, right? And they're filling it out. But something that I've realized, especially working in the community, is right there's not a lot of that's done with that information, right? It's just kind of like statistics, if you will, right? Where the genogram is essentially doing the same thing, but it's more personable, it's more genuine, and we're actually using that information that we're gathering. There's a reason, if I'm asking about your grandfather's alcoholic addiction, I'm not asking that just to put it on a form to let the insurance companies know that, hey, there may be a risk of addiction here. There's a reason for that, and it's going to significantly impact everyone in the family, and that's what we're doing. We're breaking that stuff down. That's why I think we're doing the same thing, so to speak, as far as intakes goes, but like I don't think there's many out there that are doing it to the level that we're doing it and giving you guys what you're getting from it you
Right,
know
right, absolutely. Um, Vernon and I are both coming from our homes today. I haven't been back to the office since COVID much. I operate here out of my condo, but I know Vernon operates out of the office quite a bit. But we have a great deal of overhead. Partially why we have to charge what we charge is there's not too many practices in town who have an employee who is an assistant who takes care of things the way Jeff does. He's invaluable to our practice, and we have a practice with 5 therapy rooms and a huge waiting room, and the overhead is really high. And if we charged a really low amount, we'd be losing money. So it's just mathematics and necessity in that regard. Um, so I'll go ahead and share what my fee is. It's $200 per 50 to 60 minutes. I wish I could do a 50-minute session.
Never happened. Never happened. You get your money's worth. At least
Yeah,
that's what you can
yeah.
say.
A lot of insurance therapists, you get to 45 minutes at the session. I don't care if you're spilling your guts and crying all over the place. They say, we need to wrap up.
Hmm.
We're done. Wrap this up in the next 2 minutes because we out of here, because I want a break in between clients. And that's probably healthier for the therapist. But if I'm right in the middle of something really powerful, I don't shut it down. And I let my clients know, hey, that's my style. If I'm in the middle of something, I'm always in the middle of something powerful. That's the problem.
I should say it happens more often than not, which is
It
probably a good
happens.
thing.
It happens a lot. So then instead of 50 to 60-minute sessions, I have 70-minute sessions, and then I'm running behind, the rest of the day. I'm not holding that out as the healthiest model, but you do get your money's worth. I'm not going to shoo you away right in the middle of some life-changing, powerful moment. But the reason that I charge 201 is I've got 34 years of experience, counting the couple of years I worked before I started Family Tree. And I have very limited time and energy to do therapy. I wish I was an extroverted person who could do 30 hours a week and have it be easy. But I struggle doing 25 hours a week, 24, 23. Uh, and I cram them all into 2 days because it just works better for me to either be on or to be off. But it's a very limited commodity, and I actually give a lot of breaks in that $200 fee if people bring it up and talk with me about it. But I try to set it at that. I wish I had more time and energy, and that's why I train people like Vernon, so that they can sort of carry on the work. And his fee of $75 is a great value. People watching this, I mean, if you're looking for a therapist, he works very similar to me, but his fee is $75. So think about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And in quick disclaimer, self-care is important. When we're talking about, you working 12-hour days, for those out there, even if they're potential therapists or therapists listening, self-care is important. I know that's something that, they teach in school, but, that's something that we do consider here at Family Tree. It's very important finding that balance. And, again, with the fee, just kind of including that, that's something that I say, time is very valuable. Not that my time is more valuable than my clients by any means. But that's something that I try my best to emphasize, is that time is very important. And, I think sometimes that's when people are charging what they're charging, it's because of time. Not that it's what word am I looking for? Not that it's wasting time by meeting with our clients. I don't want to paint that picture by any means, but there is self-care, and sometimes, to be a therapist, we're even paying for our own therapy, right? We got to pay
Always.
for that. Yeah.
Always.
And all of that stuff just kind of plays into the picture as well. Um, so, but yeah, self-care is important.
Three more points, real quick. I'll just sort of go over them all at once here. Um, there's two things that you shouldn't try to get the cheapest deal on. And that's brain surgery and marriage counseling. If I want somebody using a saw to cut my head open and stick their hand down in my brain, I want the best guy in the state, in the region. I don't want a bargain basement brain surgeon.
Hmm.
He might. I've got a lot of extra brains up there anyway. I don't need any further damage going on. And the same thing with a marriage is so precious, especially if you have children involved. And it's just something that if it goes south, the collateral damage just impacts so many areas of your life. So you don't want the bargain basement therapist. You want the very, very, very best therapist there is. You got to pay a little extra money. It'll save you in lawyer fees down the road because you won't need a lawyer, in many cases. Uh, the last thing I wanted to say is we do have ways that you can actually use your insurance. We don't take insurance directly, except for Andy Holzman takes Blue Cross Blue Shield directly. So if you have that, contact Andy Holzman at Family Tree. But what you can do is get a super bill from us, something called a super bill, has everything on it about our credentials, has a diagnosis. You attach that to your insurance form, send it in. You will get paid if you have a therapist who is licensed with the state, and that I have many clients who do that. We just don't. We're not set up to go through the rigmarole of waiting for payment and sending it in, and we don't have that kind of infrastructure to be able to do it. But you can get insurance coverage even with a family tree therapist.
Yeah. Mark, I want to just cut you off really quick. Remember your
Go
thought, but
for
I
it.
just because we're talking about insurance, I wanted to make sure that I spoke to that. And I think that's a misconception in this field too. I get the question a lot, well, why don't therapists accept insurance? And just throwing it out there that, accepting insurance is not something that us as therapists are just saying, hey, I don't want to accept insurance, or I do, I'll accept your insurance. It's actually a process that you have to go through involving these specific insurance companies. So if I may be or paneled with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, that doesn't translate over to United Healthcare or any other policy, right? It's for each individual uh, coverage, right? So just keeping that in mind, I wanted people to know that it is very common for especially therapists in private practice not to accept insurance, but it's not always that simple and just saying I don't want to do it, right? There's a lot
Right.
that goes into it for us to be able to do that, and sometimes it can create a really big hassle, and you already mentioned one of those things is getting paid for our work, right? So
The other thing is they greatly discount it. So uh, I would submit a bill for $200 to an insurance company that there would be a $30 copay, and they would allow $84. So I'd get a check for $54. Well, if you don't have to do that, why do it? When people can get coverage themselves and get as much as they can get through their out of network benefits. I couldn't afford to do that, so we have to do it the way we do it, which still gives people an opportunity to use their insurance. One last point: I got a text message from a client recently, and they're going on their 35th anniversary vacation, and they said, dude, without you, this wouldn't be happening because we wouldn't be married. And that's cool when you hear from people like that. to know that the experiences and the struggles that you've gone through as a therapist and what you've learned has helped people have happy endings, and to where they're off in some island, celebrating a marriage that's strong and revitalized that would have been destroyed. So that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Was that 10?
That's 10. So I hope this has been helpful to explain um, why extraordinary therapy costs what it does. Um, Obviously, if you have somebody with 34 years experience versus somebody who's newer to the field, there's going to be a difference in a fee. But I hope what we've shared has made sense to you, and I hope it's encouraged you to you guys. Some of you might want an OG, to work with, the old guy, because I've been doing it for so long, and others might want a rising star who has a lower fee. Either way, we'll be able to help you.
Absolutely. The young G.
Young G.
Young G.
Right, right. Okay, folks. Well, thank you for watching today. Give us a call. Go to familytreecounseling.com and look under associates. You can get my contact information and Vernon's, and give us a shout, and we'll roll up our sleeves and get to work, and we'll see some magic happen.
Yep, yep, yep.
All right, man. See y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.